Now, a Fauji will never think twice about these things. He is non-corruptible, unperturbable, unstoppable. It is from inception to termination, from womb till tomb. You must work with solemnity of blood, tenacity of steel, and the wisdom of kings.
Wow.
That is very important. That it's very mandatory for any leader to be erudite paragon of inspirational patronage. That's very significant. And he should or she should be passionately influencing the minds in diversity to exercise a very balanced vision with cerebral maturity towards productive outcomes in timeline.
In the scope of transformational leadership and governance, ex-military officer brings with them a unique perspective and invaluable experience to the table. Their insights, experiences, and service could offer as a backbone to the nation building. I had a compelling conversation with Lt Gen SK Gadeock, who is a strategic thinker, a motivational speaker, and an esteemed author, whose extensive career and the commitment for nation building inspires me and a lot of people to become a better version of themselves and a thought leader. Tune in for an insightful conversation with Lt Gen SK Gadeock that guarantees to be an inspirational one. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Shivam.
You recently wrote a book, War to Peace, From War to Peace. Would you like to share a little about that?
Yes, certainly. Shivam, firstly, I would like to congratulate you for your initiative and also like to convey my grateful thanks in plenitude. I think it's very wonderfully orchestrated by you and getting this podcast, so as to be able to convey my message. I think it's a very benign gesture, which I acknowledge.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to today address the bandwidth of the brilliant youth of the country, as also other civil enterprises and my brethren in uniform. You spoke about the book, From War to Peace, and in fact, I think I'll be falling short of my responsibility and my duty if I do not convey, again, my grateful thanks to your father, that is Rajan Arya, who is the co-founder of Pentagon Press, because he did facilitate me in my production and also provided me a great amount of motivation and inspiration, to get it printed. And I think in the shortest possible time, Pentagon has risen to the occasion and has performed exceedingly well. Most commendable.
Thank you.
So my compliment goes to you and your father. In as far as the book is concerned, ladies and gentlemen, it was very important to highlight radical outcomes, in rural infrastructure that is contributed by the ex-servicemen. Because I felt that, you have at least about 60,000 ex-servicemen who are retiring, plus, in fact, if you take the Navy and the Air Force and the Coast Guard. And where do all these people go? They get back to the villages, and some try to, come up to the old veterans like us, and they try to say, sir, a little bit of clemency and appeal that, why don't you carry out placements in most appropriate places, for them. Now, you see, it becomes not only embarrassing for us so as to be able to place so many people. So I think it is very creditable for the government. If they do carry out, they are doing it, but in very minuscule numbers. So I think ex-servicemen who have a great amount of credibility because they are a very disciplined force. And I should also tell you that besides the workforce, they are intrinsically characterized by self-motivation, very rich experience in uniform, discipline, result-oriented, fast track, because that is what is being trained day and night. And we also make sure that their corners are rounded up and become multi-talented persona. Now, a very important facet which I've highlighted in the book is that if you have these empowered ex-servicemen through a legislation by the Government of India, then it gives them legitimacy to work in the villages, rural development areas, niche areas, where development has not been so much orchestrated, by the government. And where I think that infrastructure requires to come up in the country. The way we are progressing economically, I think it is worthy of eulogizing as to how the country's GDP is improving and how we have now becoming well ensconced as the third largest economy in the world. Now, all these people would contribute, because this large segment of ex-servicemen, which is a trained, disciplined force in different facets, that is, in the army also, you see, you have the medical services, you have the infantry people, you have the armor people, you have the signals people. So all these could be adjusted in different ministries, and they could be given as per the caliber an appropriate position. What I have tried to recommend is meaningfully employed by scrupulous governance is important so as to produce time-bound productive outcomes. Now this can be done by all these people, and let me tell you, if the government wants, they can have mission thrust areas. They can put down that, all right, we will have these ex-servicemen working in these niche areas as per the caliber, as recommended by the Director General Resettlement, and all these people, we would like them to come out, with a certain amount. A charter could be produced, draft charter, and could be given to them. And I'm sure that the people could be adjusted, in renewable energy schemes, right, portable water schemes, optimization of rural infrastructure, solar energy. You see, there is nothing which a Fauji cannot do. The disciplined workforce, the moment you brief them adequately, he will make sure that on a fast track basis, with network solutions, he will be able to produce the results. And nowadays, what we require is, we require these clusters of villages, Shivam, to come up together, put together. Otherwise, the townships will not come up. We want all the multi-specialities, healthcare centers. We want specialization. We want cleansing, the clean Swachh Bharat. Yeah. All the schemes of the Pradhan Mantri can be implemented. And the ex-servicemen should be used to galvanize these forces into action. All the resources, that is the material and the financial, all put together, and you will find that they'll be able to do magic, right, which no one else would be able to produce in a short period of time. And what I would like to say is that most of the guys, with their righteous conduct and thoughtfulness, they believe in which is very cliched, and I speak to all my students and I tell them that's important: duty, honor and country. Now duty is something which is very sacrosanct. Yeah. Honor, virtuous conduct. Country, supreme sacrifice. Now a Fauji will never think twice about these things. He is non-corruptible, unperturbable, unstoppable. So he believes in all this, and I can tell you the credo, what we have, Chetwoodian credo, when we passed out of the Indian Military Academy at Dehradun. We believe in that fundamentally, we practice it religiously, and I can tell you that we live by it virtuously. It's a pledge. All the Faujis have also been given this pledge. And you will find that whatever kind of work is given to them, very onerous tasks, responsibilities, anything bestowed upon them will be carried out, right, in a seamless, flawless manner. And I would also like to inform you that I met the President of India, a very gracious lady, the First Lady of the country, and she understood the perspective the way I informed her. I will request her to approach the Ministry of Defence, Ministry of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, and she assured me that certainly she would ask them to take up this particular project and make sure that Director General Resettlement is involved. Amazing. Shivam, it is very important that they get involved so that the ex-servicemen can be channelized, right, and all the results can bear fruition. I recommended to the President that she was very impressed. So she said that any other areas, General Sir. So I told her, I said, Madam, uncharted coast, contiguous to border areas, underdeveloped areas, Naxal red corridors where people fear to tread, and all areas where there is no kind of a development, and you have ravines and you have forested areas where government has not done planned forestation. Okay. Are you getting the point? Yeah. So therefore, there is there are millions of hectares which are lying wasted. All that could be converted into proper cropped pattern areas and could be given under the Ministry of Agriculture. And who could help in this? like civil military fusion is being practiced by many countries, including China. So what they are doing is, all these veterans, old people, they are giving them the resources, they are giving them the leadership, and using this mass, I should say, veteran population to be channelized, and those who are result oriented and within timelines, they should be able to create what they want to.
Right.
A certain amount of funding and resources has to be made available. So a government legislation is very much in order so as to give them that position of power. Otherwise, they will not be recognized.
True.
To assist the gram panchayats in village transformation, to make those beautiful townships like you see in certain foreign countries. Now, very rightly you asked me about the book. I've also highlighted in the book that it is important that we've got about 68 lakh villages. All these villages, if they are empowered by leadership, good governance like augmentation and progression, what I've spoken about, at the grassroots level, these ex-servicemen work along with the village panchayats. Now both of them, they create a symbiotic connect. Now all the projects which are there at the village level, say hypothetically there are about 30 projects. All 30 projects can be spoken about, can be discussed, and we are planning that at the village level, a certain leadership of those who are having killer's instincts, who are very disciplined, non-corruptible, those leaders are picked up by the Director General Resettlement and posted to their respective states. Now, if I am from Punjab, I go to Punjab because I know the people, I know the language. So, linguistics, ethnicity will not be a problem. Now, when I go there, I'll be highly effective because I know the people, I know the language, I know the culture, I know how things operate, I know the problem areas. So, I would not like to prognosticate or would like to tell others or pontificate ki ye karna chahiye, wo karna chahiye. No, it's not like that. I'll be conversant and I'll take off, the moment I'm put into that particular position. So, my execution would be flawless and it would be done with consummate ease. And I can tell you all the development projects, rehabilitation programs, the potential leadership that is of ex-servicemen, what I just mentioned to you. This is all part of the socio-economic development process. That is the holistic growth which I have written in the book. Now, I've taken, actually benchmarked our Prime Minister's Gujarat, that is socio-economic development processes, which he had initiated very well. I've taken late President Bharat Ratna Abul Kalam Saab's Pura, which is urban village development programs, that really could not take off very well. So, I have recommended that all these villages in a very simplistic manner should be given leadership by these people so that they can leverage, the potentialities of the villagers. With collective wisdom, they are able to achieve all the targets and project fructification which can happen. That is through the socio-economic development.
So you spoke about the symbiotic relationship between the village management and the ex-servicemen.
Absolutely.
What do you think the village management will think about that? What will they feel safe that an outsider is coming to guide them on how to run their village and help in the management? What do you think they would feel?
I think that's a good question. Very good. Put yourself in the shoes of the village sarpanch. All right. Now, I am very confident because I have experimented on this and I've got pragmatic solutions. Now, I was the Commandant Defense Services Staff College and I have transformed the Staff College beyond recognition. I'm sorry, I'm breaking bounds of modesty, but I'm telling you what is fundamentally correct. And we got a lot of national level awards, and I got the Golden Peacock Award, 2 of them, and for Staff College. We got ISI certification, and we got great amount of recognition. I was able to transform not only the curriculum, but in totality the entire college by bringing up various projects, and I made out a perspective plan, which I submitted to the command quarters and to the Chairman Chief of Staff's Committee, who was very benign, very astute gentleman from the Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Raha. And I can tell you, I adopted a village over there because I thought of doing my PhD. So there's a village, Berhatti. I gave them all possible help. That was my personal conduct with the village. I managed to get the village into, they had some ex-servicemen. I told them about village, firstly, production of cottage industries, all types of shawls, the Barga community, the tribals. I told them that all villagers would be working. All families, that is household, would contribute to village, that is productivity. It's something like a mini GDP of the village, economy of the village would improve. Pondage, the village, a certain amount of water body, wherever in Tamil Nadu is available. I encourage PC culture, that is, rearing of fish, making sure that they earn a little bit of money. Employment in the tea gardens, because we all live in tea gardens in Tamil Nadu, in that area. I can tell you that the Sarpanch over there, I was dealing with a lady called, she was the president of the Berhatti committee, Devadas. God bless her, so she died during COVID. And I gave her all possible help. We gave her blankets for the old, we planted tree plantation drive. Then I said, you can start off with piggery and poultry. We started off with livestock, rearing of livestock. Then I told her, I said, all villagers will contribute to terrace farming. That is making sure vegetables are grown in that area, besides sending their wards for good education. I brought up the school, refurbished the school. I gave them medical health camps, a certain amount of medicine. Now, what I'm trying to say is, she told me that, sir, I'm finding that with your involvement, the ex-servicemen here in the village, there were 3 ex-servicemen, all 3 have been imbued with that messianic zeal, that passionate, resolve that we would be able to contribute in a very exponential manner, making sure that the village comes out with very fine productivity. You'll be surprised. It was declared the best village. The district collector was very helpful, and Mr. Shankar. And I approached him and I told him that this is how so he said, sir, we'll make it a model village. Now, all this was possible because I had given it due impetus. I had spoken to the leadership. I had got the Gram Panchayat, that's the lady, and I had promoted these 3 ex-servicemen. And she said, sir, these 3 guys are full of energy. They are so energized, they are so positive, and every day in the morning they'll be the first ones to get, they'll be the first ones to come to me, they'll be the first ones to ask for certain projects, they'll be the first ones to execute. And they are in a hurry to show that ours is the only village which is showing tremendous amount of progression in multifaceted activities. So what I'm trying to tell you is, she was very encouraged, she felt very happy about it. A person who wants results in life will not look left and right as to who's helping.
Right.
As long as that assistance and help is rendered in the correct perspective and funding is given by the authorities.
What I understand from your answer to my question is that the leadership is very important.
Very important.
From the outsider help that is provided to the village so that they feel safe.
Correct.
And there's no better place than the army to teach you that.
That's right. And one mind is always better. One mind is always, you have 3 minds or 5 minds, say supposing there are 5 ex-servicemen or 3 ex-servicemen or even 1. 2 minds are better than 1.
Absolutely.
So a person would always like to confide. A person would like to confabulate. That, all right, I have so many projects, so what do I do with these projects? Who's going to help me? Who's going to get network solutions? Who's going to approach the authorities? Who's going to prepare the drafts? Who's going to carry out execution of these projects?
Yeah.
So everyone wants that there should be some kind of assistance through human resource. So I feel nothing like an ex-serviceman.
Great. I see there are a lot of policy-worthy suggestions in your book.
Yes.
And I hope that we see that in the near future.
Yes.
What I want to understand from you, sir, is that what kind of mindset did the ex-servicemen come out from this service from? When they retire, what is the mindset like? Are they willing to work somewhere, share the experience and wisdom in another sector, or they want to enjoy life because they've done enough for the country already?
Yes, yes. Okay, that's again a very good question. Shivam, I can tell you that there's a large segment, majority of them would like to work. Majority of them. There could be a certain segment in that bandwidth who would not like to work, who would like to just go home, look after their landed property, spend time with their families. Depends at what level have they left. Now, because of Agnipath scheme, the Agniveers. Now, Agniveers, those who continue in service and come out in the latter part of their careers, that is, having spent good about 20, 25 years or 30 years in the army, coming out as JCOs and senior engineers. Now, all those people who get back, even they have seen with their wealth of experience and they've got enlightened, empowered. Let me tell you, most of them like to carry on working because they want a certain amount of money inflow besides the pension. Now, that assists them in better quality of living and to marry off their children, to marry off their wards and make sure that they provide higher learning and education. And let me tell you, in Amity University, I find some of the JCO's children, NCO's children over there, and very smart, very well cultured, disciplined, sticking to timeline, working out, and interpersonal relationship is also worthy of eulogy. When all these people come out, they also want a proper job. Now, earlier, everyone was pushed into security. With the bank, there's that. Now, it is very demeaning, for some of the people to take on this kind of a job and in pittance. Some of the guys went and joined the DSC, the Defense Security Corps. Now, security is all right, fantastic. I told them that if they have nothing worthwhile, they must join the DSC. It's a second line of income. So, you're getting your pension in DSC also. Right. So, it's dual income. Number two, any person who keeps his mental faculties and his physiological aspect into fine trim will always live life in a very balanced manner. He will have better longevity.
Exactly. That was I was going to that. More than the money aspect of it, it's more of being able to live
to get employed and to contribute in a very meaningful manner, to society and nation building. That is very important. In fact, you had spoken about, Shivam had said about leadership, and very correctly. In my book, I have mentioned about that. So, if you don't mind, I can just speak a little bit about it.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, leadership perceptions, I will say, vary from person to person. And why not? Everyone has a right to his and her self-opinion. But eventually, what does it transform? I have shared my perceptions, in fact, not only in the book, but I would just like to highlight that it's very mandatory for any leader to be erudite paragon of inspirational patronage. That's very significant. And he should or she should be passionately influencing the minds in diversity to exercise a very balanced vision with cerebral maturity towards productive outcomes in timeline. And why do I always say in timeline? Any person who does any work but says, well, I would like to do it ad infinitum, I'm sorry. Everything should be done within time, in a short possible time frame.
Can you say that line again, please? So, the quote.
Mandatory for any leader to be an erudite paragon, a role model of inspirational patronage. He must be able to motivate and inspire minds. Passionately influencing the minds in diversity, the entire spectrum, all types of people of the society, to execute a very balanced vision. What is your vision? It's actually your dream with timeline. A balanced vision with cerebral maturity. You have to think about it, do a causative analysis, a SWOT analysis, towards productive outcomes with timelines. Productive outcomes, why? Because I've seen some people, they work very well, they are inspired, they are nice people, they have very good morals and ethics of life, they work with rectitude and property in life. But Shivam, eventually when you see that the work they have done is, I should not use the word mediocrity, but mediocre outcome. I want to tell the people that when you are a role model, when you are a paragon, you must make sure that you are a role model so that you achieve the pinnacles of excellence.
Right.
You create centers of excellence. You create temples of learning. You create cradles of learning and leadership. That's very important. And I can tell you, what are the attributes? Now, the attributes of the leaders, what you said, that you were asking me some time back, that how do you inspire, what have you learnt in your military service? So, if I could just highlight certain aspects.
Please.
Now, leadership, like I said, it inspires you to bring out what? I have spoken to all my students here and abroad. I got more than 50,000 students now in the Army. I was the adjutant of the finest academy of the world, the National Defense Academy. And I have been in joint establishments here and abroad. I have laid stress on professionalism. That is your competence and proficiency. Now, what does it give you? Confidence.
True.
It gives you tremendous amount of confidence, and there's greater credibility. Right. Courage, your audacity, your tenacity. That is very important. A person who's a leader and who's looked up by the masses, he must manifest this particular attribute, and it ensures success. High integrity. If you're a man or a woman with low integrity and moral values, you're discovered. You're shallow. You should be very transparent. And that highlights your character, what we were talking about. Character of ex-serviceman. Delegation. Please remember, if you do not delegate responsibilities, you cannot make sure that you are going to control each and every. That means you're centralistic, you're autocratic. It's a totalitarian approach. No, you must delegate, decentralize. So that ensures a good cohesion and teamwork. Next is motivation and commitment. That is deterministic approach and steadfastness, so as to ensure that there is high morale and greater amount of dependability. Your reliability factor and that quotient goes up. And another very important aspect is your agility to think, flexibility of the mind.
Yeah.
Don't be rigid, don't be fixated. Have flexible responsiveness and empathy. You must have a depth of understanding, be sympathetic, be able to understand what are the environmental dynamics. Now, unless you don't do that, you will not be able to carry your team with you, because then they will find that you are not providing the cardinal direction, you are rudderless. So, it is very important to be considerate of their background and what kind of a person have you got in your team. That is very important. The lessons which I highlighted and which are derivative is, I always said, you have to now see the books that Shivam has got. My God, astounding. In fact, I told him that I'd be able to pick some from him so I could read extensively. So first, ladies and gentlemen, I always prophesize and I buttress on the issue of reading extensively. And therefore, improve your past skills, your education base, introspect analytically. This is very important. Every man and woman and child must introspect, because then you come to some very validated conclusions, and then think critically and apply pragmatically. Now, it is very important, like in Amity, we lay a lot of stress on strategic and critical thinking. Right. Now, why is it?
Right.
Because unless you do not inculcate and infuse this particular aspect of strategic and critical thinking, you remain a mediocrity.
Yeah.
The moment you shed your ego, you have achieved your aims and your goals. Why? Because it is important in life that to become outstanding leaders and to become legends and to become icons and have your name in the monuments in the pantheon of heroes, you must work with solemnity of blood, tenacity of steel, and the wisdom of kings.
Wow.
That is very important.
Beautiful, sir. All the traits that you spoke about of a good leader involved the aspect of mind.
Yeah.
Involved how strong the mind should be.
Yeah, that's right.
As an extensive leader yourself, how do you sharpen your mind? I would like to learn a few things here for you so that I can sharpen my mind as well as you do.
How does a person think that he should be able to conduct himself in a manner which is very appropriate, in an astute manner, should be able to, you're actually paid for only one thing in life: sound and timely decisions. Sound and timely decisions. Why do I say that? If you have the creative intellect, if you have a mind which is at rest, which is not ruffled, you're not agitated, you will be able to take very sound and timely decisions.
Absolutely.
So therefore, it has to be corroborated, it has to be accentuated, it has to be catalyzed by what? By experience, wealth of experience. You have to read extensively. Now, when you have read extensively, when you listen attentively, when you take part in interactive discussions in a very animated manner at different platforms, at different levels, you're giving out your viewpoints very candidly, what happens? You develop fecundity, you develop confidence. Therefore, you cover the entire spectrum, the entire reservoir, and that knowledge gives you tremendous amount of confidence. Now you have 12 solutions to a problem. So when I tell you that, Shivam, I have a problem, you say, sir, please let me know. I shall resolve it. Now how do you resolve? You can only resolve with the kind of experience you have, with the kind of thought process you have evolved over a period of time. You have spoken to so many people, you've heard so many people, you've heard so many speeches. That beautiful book, it's called The Famous Speeches. Now that's one of my favorite books. Why? Because when you read the speeches of all these iconic, very illustrious people, luminaries, you get educated. Not only on the military history aspect, but why did they take those decisions? What did they want to convey to the masses? What did those leadership attributes highlight and manifest? Now you learn from all that. Now that is what sharpens your mind. And therefore, you have intellectual abilities and capacities to handle. Now why do I say that chap has got intellectualism or he's intellectually inclined? I only say that to those people who have read extensively and use their mind in a very astute manner. Please remember one thing. In life, what matters most is that you give very sound and timely decisions. I come back to that. Not only in the armed forces, in the military domain, but even in the corporate. And therefore, the other day, when I was giving a talk on civil-military fusion, I said, it is very important to have the depth of understanding built up with great thought process, which is inculcated and imbibed. That is from very erudite people in the country. So that is very important.
So according to you, success in life is determined by the decision-making capability, your decision-making capabilities.
Absolutely.
And your decision-making capabilities come from your experiences.
Yes.
Either from your experiences or the experiences that you read from.
Correct.
Is that what you said?
Absolutely. And that has to be backed by the experience, your knowledge, and whatever you have gained from your mentors and your icons. Because that supplements and corroborates. That gives it the desired, I should say now, if I'm asking you for a solution to a problem, you'll say, sir, I have got 3 solutions. Now, how am I going to be very impressed that Shivam is giving me the best solution? I'll only be impressed if I find that they are diverse, it covers the entire spectrum. He has applied himself, like I just said, he does a SWOT analysis. He's applied introspected well, right? He has been very analytical and he has gone about it in a very methodical manner, in a systemic form, and has arrived at pragmatic solutions. So that is very, very important. It has to be a viable, pragmatic solution.
So you said time management.
Yes.
How should a person like me improve in time management? What is some tips you want to give me, for instance?
Yeah, certainly. I think a very good
What
question.
is something that you do that could help my life to get better in terms
Certainly,
of time management?
absolutely. I was just talking to my students the other day and I told them, and they were actually recording what I said. When you get up in the morning, you should be actually a habitual early riser. Now, when you get up in the morning, say 5:30, you get up and by about say 6:15 in the morning, you should be able to get on to your what you say having those things in India, like you have your almonds, you have that water, your in modicum, of course, as advocated, and you must take all those things like pumpkin seeds and all those things, and start off with your exercises. Now, exercises varies at different ages. It's aerobics, it's yoga, it's calisthenics. You can go out for a walk. You have a pet, and the doggy is looking at you. So you take him or her out. What I'm trying to say, in the morning after you get up, it's exercise time, and you have to devote that time. Say about 1 hour has to be devoted to your health issues. Now, the moment you have done that, and you're feeling up and about and vibrant, now people must make sure that you listen to your music. So if you're married, you must have your Betty with your wife, you must listen to music. Now that is very invigorating. After that, you must galvanize yourself into action, self-galvanization. And what do? After you've finished listening to vibrant music, or whatever is your favorite music, it gives that extra bounce and vibrancy. Then thereafter, make sure that you get on to your very good bath and change, dress up smartly, because I believe in life that you have to dress smart, talk smart.
Look at you, sir.
Like you, walk smart, dance smart, whatever you do, has got to be smartly done. Whether you're attired well, you speak with fine articulation and fecundity, whatever is done in life.
It boosts your
self-esteem.
Well, yeah.
Correct. Absolutely.
Look at you, you dressed well, and I'm dressed very casually.
No.
That's why we can see the confidence level that side of the interview and this side as well.
No, that's very, very kind of you. Very benign compliment and sentimentality. I do acknowledge always, Shivam. You're very kind with your words. I feel that wherever you go, you must be dressed to the occasion and dressed well. Well, a certain amount of overdressing is all right. You want to go for an overkill, but you must have the killer's instinct along with that, and you must be able to conduct yourself in a manner which is most appropriate for the occasion. Now, if you're going to the office, well, besides being attired well, you should carry your smart suitcase, but not a duffel bag or something, and get on to office work. Now, in office, make sure whatever I have said, as the boss or a team leader, or as part of the team, as a young man or woman, you must make sure that you are always having a certain amount of charm, a charismatic, captivating appeal. Your deportment, your demeanor, it is very important. Use that to force multiply your endeavors. Now, whatever you're doing, you must have that captivating appeal and that deportment, that demeanor. And make sure that you exude confidence. Now, how can you do that? It is only coming from all I have spoken about right now. Yeah. And make sure that you create an indelible impact on whomsoever you are interacting, whomsoever you are connecting. And those linkages are very permanent, are very profound. So therefore, in life, you must learn that if you have to gain meaningfully in that proportion and magnitude, please remember, all these certainly matter. When you have done this and you are out with it, you must have your very frugal meal, right? And make sure that you don't get carried away with fatty oils and foods which are very deleterious or detrimental to your health conditions, and as per your age, of course. And after you had that, have a certain amount of cat napping, what is called the Italian cat napping. Now, why that cat nap, that half an hour rest? Because your mind should be at rest. Like many people, along with yoga, combine meditation, transcendental meditation. Now, that gives you a certain amount of transcendence, what is called transcendent success later on in life. It does contribute. People who are highly proficient, who are very effective in their professions, well, all this contributes to that.
Right.
And then after that, get onto your work, and at an appropriate time, even if you press the throttle hard and the management is after you, you're their blue eyes and a blue chip contributor, you must make sure that you get off and get back once again. In the morning, I forgot to mention that you must do your bit of dharmic, your prayers,
meditation.
and must have breakfast with your children, your parents, and all that. That is very vital. I forgot to mention that. And likewise, in the evening, when you get back home, mingle with your children, your wife, your parents, and everything. Spend time. That 1 hour leisure is very important for you to catch up. Now, while in the morning you've done all this, I think your television set could be on so that you're abreast with the news, what is happening, contemporary. You're not necessarily watching it continuously, but you're hearing what is happening in the world whilst you're getting ready and you're looking after your family, your plants, your passion, whatever you're doing, you're very good at gardening or whatever. And once you have done that, we get back to the evening jaunts, that is तुम्हारी रोजमर्रा की कार्रवाई. You have to spend that 1 hour, 1.5 hours with your family, with your parents, with everyone. Listen to some music or plants, do whatever your hobby pursuit is very important for you to have a change, to get a fresh air, draft of fresh air. And then after that, you get back to your work. My favorite thing is to get back to the study. While my wife is doing a little bit of cooking, or she's doing her reading and intellectual pursuits, and she's watching her favorite serials or whatever. That is time. So we have space, adequate space given to each other. And that is what makes us have a very compatible life, of great fondness and enduring relationship. That only happens when you give space, you understand each other. And we have very fond, I should say, likes and dislikes, in the sense that we know each other rather well.
Right.
Now that connectivity is very important. You have to ensure that with the siblings at your level and with the parents.
Relationship management.
Yes. Yeah. It has to be endearing, loving, and caring. The only 3 words I can think of. And after that, whilst you finish off, that is with your bath change and get on to your another 1.5 hours of study work, sitting in your study, doing your talks and speeches and preparing for your next day's work or whatever kind of homework you have after leaving your office. You must be able to do that. I feel that is very important. Some people don't do it. Some people don't carry work at home. Yeah. Well, it's all individualistic.
It depends on what is fair for you.
Absolutely.
So we spoke about earlier, we were speaking about the work life that we have, right?
Yes.
In today's generation, I see a lot of distractions around work life.
Yes.
How should one keep bay from those distractions and have that focused time of the work that they do to have effective and efficient work results that they bring out?
Shivam, it is so important in life to be highly motivated, focused. You should know the cardinal direction. You should know where your KRAs, your key result areas or performance areas are. जो तुम तस्वर करते हो जिंदगी में, that should be implementable. It should be having pragmatism. To trailblaze a legacy of success, you have to be a trailblazer. If you are a trailblazer, you're unstoppable. Exercise collective wisdom. Always carry your team. Always hear them out. Don't be too autocratic. I hear everyone. I am democratic. But I do what I feel is appropriate. And that is why I move fast. I'm a fast track man. Therefore, cohesiveness of your team and inspired teamwork will motivate them to excel. And lastly, it's very important equally to be kind-hearted, to be benevolent, like a good man like you, and to be a venerated soul, so that you are respected and you're looked upon with reverence as a man and woman of substance, with virtuous and humble qualities.
These are the essential
traits
of a leader.
Yes, but you'll say that, sir, you're humble, but yet I can see that you're speaking so much about achieving your aims and objectives. That means you're ambitious. You combine humbleness with ambition.
Yeah.
What does it become? Hambitious. So this is one word, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell Shivam and to all of you, that one should be ambitious and you'll be able to achieve everything in life.
So one trait that a leader really requires is motivation.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to have you to provide me that at a number of occasions. And you do it to a lot of students as well, all around you. How does someone who motivates others get motivated himself? How do you motivate yourself is my question.
I was a born leader. I don't require to be told too much by my fine parentage, which I received from, I come from military parentage. My father was in the army. Both my father and mother were very virtuous human beings, and they gave me the best of everything in life. But my father always told me one thing, that you be a man of moderation. He told me you don't require to be spoken to. I can see that the genetic bloodline is there in you. You have imbibed it, and from time to time, I shall temper it. Please remember that whatever you do in life has to be done with an idea of being a role model. Now, you have to be a role model son, a role model student, a role model brother, and later on, a role model father, a role model sibling. Whatever you do. And I still remember his profound words. He said, role model does not imply that you become a role model student and after that you forget about it. It is from inception to termination, from womb till tomb. That means once you are a role model, you have to remain a role model for life. And please remember, ladies and gentlemen, of course, it's very difficult, because if you are a role model student, the way you dress up, the way you respond, the way you look up to your teacher, the way you venerate, the way you give reverence, the way you are spiritualized soul, the way you respect your father, the way you go through the nuances of life, understanding that these are the imponderables and vicissitudes, and you are able to cope up with them in a very effective manner. The way your interpersonal relationships, you must have amenability, cordiality, and congeniality. You should be able to not only prophesize, you should be able to make sure that you are not sycophantic. You are always talking to people with character, attributes, and ethics, what is expected out of you. And you must make sure that whatever you prophesy, you practice. That is very important. You know, whatever you preach or you pontificate in life, you're able to practice that. So please remember, I, as always, whatever I was in my childhood, in my adolescence, and thereafter in soldierhood, I've always prophesied and practiced exactly what I thought should be for role model characters. I read well, read a lot. I said I want to be a successful man right on top, to be able to guide, motivate the army and to take it places. Well, there was a little bit of slippage because of imponderables of life, and I couldn't make it, but yet I wanted to do my doctoral philosophy. I did that. I was able to get my honoris causa, honorary doctorate. I managed to do that, and yet I'm looking up to life to reward me in a manner that I feel very heartened and gladdened. Amazing. So I always think that whenever I speak, must speak in a manner which is in a very conducive environment. When I address the audience, speak about realities and talk about pragmatism as to how it can affect their life, how I can contribute to a very meaningful life that they could pursue in their livelihood.
Amazing.
So I feel whatever I do should be done in a very smart manner, in a very appropriate manner. So I am self-motivated, and I just go on like that. And let me tell you, it's very important. With all this, if you're married, you must have a spouse with whom you have an excellent relationship, and children who love you, like friend, philosopher, and guide. So when I say this, you must have your domestic bliss. That is very important. Marital and domestic bliss.
Beautiful.
So as to be able to blossom in your profession.
So your journey has been an inspiring one, sir. No doubt for me, I'm sure every life you touch, you inspire.
Grateful to God.
I'm going to end this conversation with 3 very personal questions that I ask my guests.
Yes.
The first one is to just briefly understand what your purpose of life has been. What would you say your purpose of life is?
Society and nation building. Since I was in the profession of arms, I contributed to the military society and to my country. And let me tell you, because my icon was in the army, we had some generals whom I had great reverence, and they inspired, motivated me to excel, to make sure that I do not waste time. I was a very hard taskmaster, but I had great amount of empathy. I used to carry a motivating team and always produced the desired results. I was always the blue eyes of my bosses because I worked hard with great prudence. I had, I think, developed the art of speaking and captivating appeal. I always liked to overdress, and I thought that it did produce an impact. And I, felt that in life, to be purposeful, to ensure that you're a person to be recognized, to be given due acknowledgement. Recognition is very important. So therefore, I got it at every stage. And I was very lucky that I didn't have to go through trials and tribulations of life, because I did much more than what was expected out of me. There were high expectations, but I performed exceedingly well in a very commendable manner because I know myself. And therefore, I was given my due. And therefore, I was inspired more to raise the bar for myself. And that threshold of excellence, which I set for myself, always inspired me to do even better. And I can tell you, without mentioning my words, that I always think that every man, woman and child in this universe should be contributing to the cause of society and nation building. True. All of us. We should not waste time, be self-centered and egoistic. We should realize what the government is doing, and like the famous words of John F. Kennedy, see what you can do, for your country, and you can contribute in fine promotion, and you should be able to do and die for your country. So that is very, very important. So if you can live up to that, I think life is worth living.
Second question I ask my guests is that what is one book you wish you would have read earlier in life?
I actually was very fortunate since I was brought up in a military environment, and I was very influenced by military icons. So I used to read about the world wars. I was very much into it. I think my adrenaline used to get charged up, and I used to feel very enthusiastic and euphoric when I read something about the trailblazing actions and all the military operations which are conducted with great strategies put into force by military commanders. And I was a great, I won't say fan, but I greatly admired the German war machine and how Hitler had planned his multiple offenses across Europe, and then of course failed miserably in the end. But I admired the euphoria of his triumphant successes, his military campaigns. And I think I could rattle off the name of about 60 odd field marshals and generals of the Panzer forces. I was so much enamored, and I liked the way he came back, bounced back with the red shirts, the swastika. And now, I don't know how I got so much influenced by all that. So I used to read very feverishly. And then, of course, by certain other military commanders like Montgomery, besides the German commanders who performed with great excellence and professional competence. But certainly like Montgomery and Winston Churchill, not because of his very cynical and sarcastic, I should say, criticism which he had impugned. And he meant something about the Indians prior to independence, which was highly sarcastic, and it cast aspersions actually on our community, on the Indian community, which I did not like. But I did admire his leadership as Prime Minister of Britain during the war. So I read very extensively about all these campaigns. And a book which I wanted to read was the Second World War, the memoirs of Winston Churchill. And you will not believe it, when I was joining the National Defense Academy, I thought about it and I said that, oh my God, I hope I'm able to read all the 6 volumes. And incidentally, I must inform ladies and gentlemen that Winston Churchill was bestowed with the Nobel Prize for Literature because of his 6 volumes of the Second World War. And one day when my father came home at the Indian Military Academy, and he told us, he got the family together and he said that, look, I got a gift for you. And since all of us were very fond of reading, and he says, these are the books, the volumes that you were waiting for. And when he opened the package, came out of the bag, there were 6 beautifully leather embossed Winston Churchill's memoirs of the Second World War. You can't imagine, I was so delighted. I felt so euphoric, as if God had so destined that I would be reading that book, and my father just gave it to me and he said, just eat it, drink it, and just sleep with it.
What an enlightening conversation it was for me, sir. I'm sure the audience had a lot of takeaways.
Thank you. God bless.
Before we go, can I request you, since Pentagon Press is celebrating 25 years of our existence.
Yes.
And you recently got published by us as well. Would you like to share your experience with us, and if any experience you want to share with us?
Okay, Shivam. Firstly, I would like to compliment your father, Mr. Rajan Arya. He is, I think, a very fine person, a man good of head and heart, excellent values and virtues of life. You're very lucky to be his son, and so is he lucky to have a son like you and Shivani and Rajan. I think all 3 siblings are the perfect creation of what I think brotherhood and sibling understanding should be in life. He's so well nurtured you with ideals, that are very important and significant. I feel that when he spoke to me, when he approached me about this book, I was so enamored by the way he spoke to me. And he had such humility, in his speech and his thought process, and the kind of assistance that he said that he would provide to me. Let me tell you, if every publisher is like, Rajan, I see no reason as to why they would not be able to transcend success. Number 2, what I found, he was ever so helpful, catalyzing my endeavors. And I told him that I would like to have this book produced in just about, I had finished making the draft, and he said, sir, don't worry, it's just about 3 months and we will have the book released, because I had given him certain timelines. I'm always on the fast track, that. And he told me, he said, sir, beautiful. And I took the blessings of the founder president. Mm-hmm. And Pentagon assisted me in launching I think it was one of the finest book releases, with more than thousands of children at Amity. So I feel that when we launched, and Rajan told me that we'll do it in Amity, and the way we did it, thanks to him and his contribution, which is very significant, and I can tell you that very wholesome. And I received his patronage in the kind of manner which every person who desires to launch a book would receive. I think it is very patronizing and overwhelming. And thereafter, you took it on, you picked up the gauntlet, which I must compliment you. You did exceedingly well, and I wish you and the Arya family great success. And now with your 25 years, that is of your silver jubilee coming, I'm sure you'll carve a niche for yourself. And Pentagon is going to overtake other publications in the country and even overseas. We wish you all the very best and iconic success in all your pursuits for excellence in publication.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. I really appreciate your support and guidance, and thank you so much for taking the time and meeting me and gracing this podcast.
I'm grateful.
Before we go, can I request you to sign me a copy of your latest book?
Yes.
For me to keep dearly?
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you.